Welcome to the SPEAKPact podcast, where high-performing speakers and the producers who hire them merge to give you the insider secrets to the lucrative speaking industry. Antoniette Rose, your podcast host and celebrated speaker agent, unveils insider success strategies. Discover a nexus of thought leaders and bookers, maximizing your potential in each and every episode. Your ticket to ultimate speaking success begins right here. Catch the transformative insights waiting for you on the SPEAKPact podcast, hosted by the industry powerhouse herself, Antoniette Rose.
Welcome back to SPEAKPact. We are thrilled that you are here today. I'm Antoniette Rose, your host, and today Dan Shake joins me. He is a wealth of information for rising speakers. He is a publicist for inspirational changemakers, and he's also co-founder of Speaker Slam, a pretty amazing event that creates, what was that, Inspirational Speakers of the Year and beyond?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the stage. So let's start at the beginning. What got you interested in becoming a publicist, helping voices get heard?
So for me, this journey of Speaker Slam kind of just fell into my lap. I was on this mission of self-development, and my goal was to just experience life because as a shy immigrant, I didn't get to experience life. And so I made this mission to finish my bucket list by 25. And on this journey, I realized that as much as I faced my fears of jumping out of planes, traveling solo, doing stand-up, I didn't feel fulfilled. And on my around the world trip, it was actually when I was walking on the streets in Thailand, where I saw a child begging for money at 5 years old, that I realized, hey, I am literally, I got out of the situation. My dad took the risk of his life to leave Pakistan and get me a future. And now I am traveling the world and doing all this stuff. And so I came back with this new sense of purpose. Like I was just paying for stuff. And so I was like, why am I not doing anything to help people and making a difference? And so started volunteering. And through that volunteering, I just said yes to things outside my comfort zone. And through that process, I met a couple people. They invited me to Toastmasters. I said yes to this thing called Landmark. And through this self-development journey, it just came to be from one of the community projects I was working on, to create something for a community I was already involved in, which was Toastmasters. And so I asked the one person that I didn't think would help me. She was 20 years older than me. She had already had a successful $1 million business, but because of the recession, she kind of got wiped out. And so she was on the up and up. And so I'm this hungry 25-year-old coming in, and together we just had this spark, and Speaker Slam was born out of this shared desire to create something. And so my business partner, Rena Rovinelli, we created Speaker Slam. I remember just saying, why don't we do something like a speaking competition? Her eyes lit up because she loves competition itself. And from that, we ran our first event. It got 100 people out. And then we were like, well, what if we kept going? And Rena, I have an IT background, so I was a process guy. And she was like, let's just do it again. We already created the processes. And I was like, okay. And so we did it a month after. That was unheard of. And then we were like, let's do it again. And we were the only people in Toronto running monthly events with speakers, 10 speakers a night. And that just kind of built up. And 10 years later, Speaker Slam is a global platform where speakers fly in from all over the world.
Fascinating, courageous journey where you are now. I love it. Yeah, I don't know if you've written your own book. Hopefully you have, or you're going to. But really shows that you had something driving you within, and you were not going to let anything stop you, right? You're just going to push your way through. You said something a moment ago. It's a little bit off track, but to me, it's really very relevant. You said maybe you felt like she was a little out of your league, or she wasn't going to be willing to help you, but you gave the ask and it turned out. I will say, if every speaker listening to this show, if they could just get that, you're all about getting the speaker prepared, ready, and experienced, right? I'm all about getting them the gigs. So we're beautiful marriage here, right? And one of the things that I see that holds a lot of speakers back, I work generally with their assistants, because the speaker shouldn't be doing the thing, but the thing needs to be done, right? You got to get those pitches out there, is micro criticizing the lead. I just don't think that's going to be a good lead for me, right? If the corporation's too big, they're not going to want me, or the corporation's too small, I'm above that. When those can turn into your greatest opportunities, just work the process, get those pitches out there, get yourself booked, bring your best, and you can never really prejudge what's going to happen. So those asks, that one ask, really changed the trajectory of your life. And the same goes for speakers wanting to get more gigs.
Imposter syndrome is such a big, big part of this journey, entrepreneurial journey, the speaker journey. I've seen it all. And it started with me, like the fact that I didn't see myself partnering with her, right? But when you are like against the wall and you just need to make a decision, and you just putting it out there, you never know who's going to say yes. And I've had incredible, speakers that I've seen who've never even been on TV, have never spoken on stage, now are doing it full time as a lifestyle. And just because they trusted the process, they stepped into being courageous, and ripples of impact started happening.
Well, let's talk about that lifestyle. This speaker lifestyle is really one of the only lifestyles that I know of that your potential to 7 figures can be fast tracked but it's not going to happen by sitting on a shelf, right? By getting on a bunch of bureaus and maybe getting a few non-exclusive agents. All of that's great, but it's part of a bigger equation, and it's worth it. But why it's worth it is because many speakers aren't going to go to that length. They're like, I'm fabulous. I have this great IP. I'm great on stage. The rest should work for itself. It doesn't. That's like saying, I sell the best hamburgers in the world, but I don't want to build the building that's going to house the place for people to come and get those burgers, or however, I'm not going to manufacture them to get them into the grocery stores. I just know I have the best burger, and people just need to come and find me, or somebody else needs to tell them about me. You're going to get what you're going to get out of that. Whereas, I've got this impactful talk that can change lives, can be the answer to the prayers that people are laying awake at night searching for, right? Searching for a solution to. I've got it. I need to get myself out there. I need to be found. I need to be seen. I need to be heard. And I need not to wait for somebody else to do it for me. And that proactive speaker is the one who is going to reach that fabulous speaker life. It's not going to feel so fabulous the first year, maybe 2 years, but when it breaks, it breaks. When it runs, it just, it really busts open. And then you have that time freedom. You have the ability to say yes or no to certain engagements. You get that just kind of very fulfilling life that many speakers step into thinking, I want that, but they don't really see everything that it took to get to that point. Tell me a little bit about that side of things. What have you seen being kind of the average attitude versus the reality check that you've had to bring to the table?
For sure. One of the biggest challenges I've seen with a lot of speakers is they don't understand the power of visibility itself and how that process impacts it. So yes, you've already delivered a bunch of amazing corporate talks, but if I Google you and I don't see anything, photos of you on stage or even a video of you speaking, and I can't find it, you might have it saved in your Google Drive somewhere, but if the world can't see it, the judgment comes from the moment of the pitch. Because let's say an email comes through, well, an event organizer or even a producer for morning television shows, well, are they going to risk their jobs for someone who, if I Google you and you don't show up, like, are you the expert, the thought leader that you say you are, but you're not even showing up on the basics? And so to me, we have to shift that, because as speakers, you need to be discoverable. Discoverability is so key. And that comes down to SEO, search engine optimization. And the way we're living right now, the way the world has shifted, AI pulls everything from Google searches. And so if that's the case, and you have no presence, you don't even have a website. And if you don't have a personal website, you got to have a website. That's a key. It's pulling from that. So, and then you got to use the keywords to rank. Like if someone's looking for invisible disability speakers, well, you better have those used throughout your social media, for your actual personal branding website. These are the things that you have to do. Get yourself featured in like Invisible Disability Magazine. Those are ways you stand out as an authority.
Very good. So as you're going down this journey and you started this company with your partner, at what point did you really start getting that part? Like what point did you start looking at yourself as a publicist and start really moving strongly in that direction?
So it was actually during the pandemic itself that all of this kind of shifted. And the reason is, when Rena and I were doing this business, we ran competitions every month. And so, like a machine, but running events every month comes at a cost. And that is, visibility, working on all the other things. And my focus at that time was, I read this amazing book, The One Thing. You focus on one thing and you will, it's a fascinating book. And so I remember in 2000,
Jeff Olson. I think Jeff Olson wrote it.
I'm not Gary Teller. No, anyways.
Oh, you might be. Yeah, I might be thinking of a different book. Go ahead.
And so he instilled this idea on me. So I ended up quitting my job to pursue Speaker Slam full time, and I made this goal to fill up the venue with 500 people. And on the first day of that launch, we took a big investment to get this major theater that could hold up to 500 people. And then we launch and we sell one ticket at the event. We have 499 tickets to go. And so I have to start thinking, well, I have to go all in on this to make this possible. And so I quit my job. And then on the second day of me working at Rena's home office, just a week prior, I'd been just scrolling through Facebook and I saw these speeches that were going viral on platforms like Goldcast. It was Simon Sinek's speech. And I was like, I have speakers that have speeches. And so the foundation of the very first pitch came to be. I sent a pitch out to their Facebook page. I got the email there and I just put it out there. And now I got fast forward 2 weeks. I am now at Rena's home office and I get the email. Goldcast has selected 3 of your speeches, not even one, to go on their platform. And so we had no idea what this meant, but we were excited. And then all of a sudden, the first speech goes out by Unstoppable Tracy. That gets 15 million views in 2 days. And that kickstarts something powerful where the next speech comes out, 10 million views on Gina Hatzis' speech for Too Much Woman. And then I was like, holy cow, something has happened. And so I take that exact same pitch. I'm like, if this pitch worked for this platform, and they were taking more of our content because they were monetizing off of it, I was like, why can't other people get that? And so I started reaching out to other pages like Power Positivity, A+, which is Ashton Kutcher's platform. And I was like, I send them the same thing. Leverage the fact that these pages were already getting tons of views with our speeches. Why don't you? And so it was an easy exchange. And for me at that time, my belief, and still a belief, win, win, win. Mm-hmm. The right pitch makes not only the speaker win, they get major visibility. We as a brand get major visibility as well, because our platform is literally amplifying their voices. Yeah. And then finally, that platform wins by having content. And so now they were having all these viral videos, and we got to millions and millions of views in that time span. And we actually ended up filling up the venue with 500 people. That's when we started launching our training programs. But around the time when the pandemic happened, we lost everything, right? Everything was built for the in-person brand. And around that same time, I really started looking into, and Facebook changed the rules. So virality through other people's content wasn't the same anymore. So those pages couldn't monetize. So everything shifted. So we had to really look back at the brand and slow down because we were pumping out speeches and editing every month, we didn't have time to slow down. So we launched the online competition. And because of the online competition, we had major gaps between how we ran events. And it really allowed us to look at our brand. And as I started looking at branding itself, I started realizing people didn't know who I was. And through that process, I was building a business brand that I thought everybody should know who I am through that. But they had no idea who I was being. And I was the one behind all the viral speeches that came to be. And so that's when I started looking at personal branding. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of people make is they intertwine their personal brand and business brand together. And there is a difference. And you don't, what ends up being forced is a lot of times they have to coexist together and not speaking on certain things. But when you allow your personal brand to exist, and so as I leaned more into who I was and I realized what I needed to be, I started working on that personal brand. And through that process, I remember when George Floyd's happened, one of the things that we started was the Amplifying Black Voices. It was an online event. And so we gathered all these speakers. And so through these Amplifying Voices events, I remember one of our speakers who was really passionate about parents with disabilities, Marjorie, she really put it on my radar that she was going to run the Amplifying Voices Parents with Disabilities on Global Parents Day on June 1st. And when she did that, we were running the event, we were co-producers. And when that happened, she was able to garner media attention for an online event. And that was the first time I saw media awareness days. And that clicked into my head of like, holy cow, the editorial calendar is what makes things be timely. And once you take someone's story and you align it to something that is timely, that's when shifts start to happen. And through that process, through the pandemic, I started pitching myself. I started pitching speakers, and each time I got better and better. And eventually I nailed on the comeback of Speaker Slam. I remember I got on City News Toronto, which was my first media win. And from that, I just started like learning about certain things, and that just amplified everything. And all of a sudden I was featured on breakfast television. My speakers were, I was getting people on media just for them running a donations campaign. And so it's really understanding that a personal story on it is very, very relevant, but understanding when it's timely and you're doing something, oh my God, that's when the momentum started happening.
Ooh, lots and lots of goodness there. Okay, I have a big question for you.
Go for it.
But beforehand, so about that singular focus that you were talking about, I think that that's so key, and especially when it comes to branding. Do not be all things to all people. I need to be able to define you in a sentence so I can refer you, right? You are the expert in, there's no other option. He's the one, right? And vice versa. And that can't be when, he's great and a lot of great things. You really want that singular focus. So you talked about the one thing, you're right. That's Gary Keller. I was actually referring to The Slight Edge, which is another book you should pick up if you haven't. That's Jeff Olson. Okay. They're very similar. But that really, I am a natural born multitasker, and that doesn't always serve you well. So really, really great book there. So yes, get findable, get discoverable, I think is what you said. So key, so important. There's lots of ways to do it. I've been hearing a buzz. I don't believe it. I really don't believe it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. That the importance of SEO is, I'm sure it's shifting and changing, but that it's going away because of AI. What I think I heard you say is that AI actually depends on that SEO. Can you kind of enlighten, because we require that every speaker at least has a landing page, if not a full-blown website. because maybe their messaging isn't fully honed in yet. They're still testing. Every talk you do, you're collecting data. You're collecting data not only on your audience, but on yourself. What am I really loving? What is the audience leaning into? So maybe don't want to create a full-blown website until you have at least the core of that down. So we encourage at least to start off with a landing page built with SEO in mind. Is that changing much in this age of new technology?
For sure. So I think when people think about SEO and whatnot, they think about like, you have to create a bunch of blogs, and have the right keywords, and you use strategies on these low impact forums that like relink you and whatnot. And one of the things I've learned through this media journey with a lot of people is all you need is high ranking websites to link back to your stuff, and then you will start ranking in your name. Now, if you're competing against, like, say, Oprah, and your name's Oprah, it's going to be pretty hard for you. But if you can be the number one person in your own name, that's huge. And I have strategies on how to actually do that, right? First, the personal website with your name. So ideally the .com is the right way to do it. Own that. And I say get that website up ASAP, because in order for you to actually rank on Google, it takes time, and you need to start linking back now. So there is no like the ultimate time, because when you launch that website, it's not going to show up right away. Sometimes it can take up to 6 months. Now, if you follow a couple of strategies and there's not much competition, well, it'll get up higher and higher. Now, once you get that website up, because a lot of people don't do that, it's putting your name in the actual SEO titles and using those buzzwords, because this could be like Dan Shake, and then put the main title you want to be known for. So I use publicists for inspirational change makers throughout my branding, because I want to be ranking for that. For a lot of speakers, they could be doing something like leadership speaker, human connection speaker. So on that main title, everyone can see what you are. And following that is your social media presence. So some advice people give is, oh, you just need to focus on one platform, LinkedIn or Instagram. My strategy is you need to create your presence on all platforms and have a singular handle so that you own that brand. So later someone else can't take it. So for example, my business brand is at SpeakerSlam. My personal brand is at the Dan Shake. And so I own on every single platform, and that is relevant to me. And it not only serves me, a lot of people don't understand what handles are. They're ways for people to search you. And so when you build on, say, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, having that consistency actually allows not only Google or any other search platform to understand, oh, this is the same person. You're also linking back to your website. So that's just helping you rank higher and higher. And that's super key. And then finally, get on other people's blogs. So that's why podcasting is great, especially because the high ranking, the better the podcast is, they're going to push on Spotify, Amazon, all those other platforms. If they're linking back to you, you are now increasing your visibility. Plus, if you start getting media attention, they're going to link back. So instead of focusing a lot on what I say is like what SEO companies sell you, which is, because I've worked with an SEO company. I thought my business needed SEO to rank. And no, that's not the case. It's get on other people's blogs, get them linked back, and you will rank higher than most people.
So should that link go back? This is brilliant information. So should that link go back to your opt-in page, or should it go to the home page of your website? And does that matter?
It all depends on what the purpose of said page was. So, for example, if you're a speaker and you're not selling a course or a product, most people, and if you look at the data, most people only go on the homepage. They don't go on all the other pages itself. So if your goal is to be seen by a speaker or an event organizer and to book you for speaking, then get the call, right up there, make it easy. If you want to collect the email, what I find is a lot easier is before they book the call, they enter their email and then go onto the booking page. So it just makes the process a little more seamless. And now you have the emails so you can put it through your email campaign system. That's one way to go about it. But if you're really looking to like, you're talking about a squeeze page where you want them to do a certain act, which is purchase a product or whatnot. Well, then you have to have a different system and a different gateway to that process. But for now, I would say for your personal website, link back to your just personal website so you can rank that higher.
What about people like you and me with not obvious spellings? So Antoniette Rose is often misspelled on the first name and on the last name. And then Dan, pretty easy. Hopefully not too many people would misspell that, but they're definitely going to misspell shake. So how do you do lesser common names?
This is something that I see with a lot of my speakers, because they have, diverse names. And actually my name is Daniel Sheikh. That's the actual full pronunciation, but I found that like it was already ranking from someone else that had millions of followers on YouTube. And I was like, well, a lot of people call me Dan already. I'm going to make what I am already known as something visible so people understand me. And I believe you have to own your name. Regardless of what happens, you have to own it, because if you make your name, like, for example, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the perfect example. He believed that his name needed to be the name that he was given, and he owned it. And people now just run with it. And I think a lot of people, especially from diverse backgrounds, need to just own their identity, because the moment you step into your power, that you're like, this is my name, I'm going to own it. Good things happen, especially if in the height, like, for example, like let's say you have the name James Stevens. That's going to be a very highly competitive name to even compete in. Yes, it's easy to search, but it's going to be highly competitive. So it's actually kind of beneficial for you to own your diverse name and get in there. So my recommendation is first look at how your name is ranking. Do you have competitors that are already owning it? Once someone's owning it, it's going to be so hard for you to rank. But if you can rank in your own name, then go for it. Like, because if you become the big time speaker that you want to be, well, then everyone's going to know your name. So that is my advice.
Fabulous. Help me understand this, because I'm not sure I'm connecting all the dots quite yet. So I'm Antoniette Rose. I speak, but mainly I'm a speaker agent and have an agency. And the agency is WPC Speakers Global, and we have speakersglobal.com, just because WPC is hard to hear over the phone. It can be all kinds of things. So, speaker or over a podcast. So speakersglobal.com which one would I want to rank? Because if I'm on a show, and really any show I do is going to be for Speakers Global, because I have plenty of engagements. That's not where I want my focus to be. So can you just tell me the difference? What would I do for my namesake site, Antoniette Rose, versus my company site, my branded site, like you have the Speaker Slam site, and I have Speakers Global. Like, in what instances do you utilize danshake.com versus your product or service branded site?
For sure. So with, say, Speaker Slam, right? The main thing is owning the main handle for your websites. That's the first start for the business. Then you look for owning your handle across the board on LinkedIn, which is creating a company page, Facebook, creating the business page. Then it would be at WPC Speakers Global or WPC Global, whichever you prefer. And then, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. One of the big things people don't understand is there are 3 big search engines in the world. There is Google, YouTube, and Amazon. So if Google owns YouTube, Google anyone's name and you'll see YouTube videos start springing up as like the second or third option there. So use that to your advantage by putting in the titles your name or your business name. For example, I do that with Speaker Slam videos. If you go on YouTube at Speaker Slam, you'll see Speaker Slam stuff ranks higher. And you just have to do this over time. So that is the idea for the business. Because if you build on having all those, if I Google WPC Speakers Global, your company should rank, your website should be the highest, then all the things that you have accomplished should show up. If you do that with Speaker Slam, that's how it shows up. Now, moving, and so that's the goal of the agency. The agency, you know, is about competing on stage and all that. Now, Dan Shake, this is my personal brand. I am no longer roped. I am still the founder of Speaker Slam. But me, I can exist as a publicist. I can exist as, you know, and people need to be able to show their personal brand. A lot of people think, oh, it's my family stuff. I can't show that. Like, that's my personal stuff. I feel like a personal brand is who you just are. And you need to be able to show your values. If you care about family, then show the pictures of your family. If you care about like going out and, you know, doing adventurous things, show that, because that makes you different. You know, just like this static image of like, I am a speaker, that like, I just do one thing, because people don't follow that. Like, people don't buy from, like, how many times do you just follow a business page and you're like, yes, please sell me, like, sell me. You're really following, when you follow someone, you follow their journey. You're either going for the wisdom that they're sharing, or you're just subscribing to their lifestyle on, say, Instagram. So my recommendation is have that personal website, have that personal handle. For me, it's Dan Shake, and then try and use your personal brand to build yourself up. But then when you're, say, on a podcast or something of that nature, you can send people to the business to be like, this is the best way to go it. Because if you focus on one thing and everything kind of like seamlessly works together, you're just kind of like, you have synergy.
Yeah. Okay, so much goodness. So in a moment, I want to talk a little bit about your 5-minute signature story, and then we'll end with our signature question. But at this point in the show, I know there are plenty of SpeakPact listeners who would like to know, how do I find Dan Shake? So where do you like to be found?
For sure. You know, obviously I want speakers to compete at Speaker Slam. So go to speakerslam.org/apply. But if you want to get to know me, Dan Shake, go to danshake.com and follow me at Dan Shake, at the Dan Shake.
Okay, so it's Shake, SHAIKH. For those who are just listening in and they're not seeing us on video, it's SHAIKH.
Thank you.
Sounds like vanilla shake. Looks like chocolate shake.
Chocolate shake. Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna roll with that.
That's great. Okay, so I know that something you really excel in as well is helping a speaker hone, synthesize, write their signature story down to 5 minutes. And if you're over the age of 2, that's going to be kind of hard because life is so big. So tell us a little bit about that, and why is it important?
So getting your message down to 5 minutes, and that is aligned to a signature story, because we've all been through some level of, you know, experiences, trauma, and trying to like fill everything into 5 minutes. That's very difficult. And it just comes across like an autobiography. No one's really connects with you. What we recommend is find that one moment in your life that really represented everything of who you became. That's a signature story that you kind of repeat over and over and over. Once you know what that is, what's your message? So we always say, start with the message first. What do you want to gift this, the audience? And then from that message, you work into the story. So your story is a vehicle to deliver your message. So working backwards helps the most. And that story, just go right into the story. No preamble, no nothing. That's why the competition format that we have, it like kind of like forces people to be like, okay, what is the main thing people need to know to emotionally connect with people? And so that's what's really made our speeches so viral, so interesting with people, is because we get right into the story, and there's no like you're not selling anything. You're just really there to inspire them and move them. And so, and that speech, once you get into the 5-minute part, what people don't understand, it's not only the foundation of, you know, a keynote. It can be the foundation of your next TEDx. You can build on it. plus a 5-minute speech, a multi-angle speech on video makes you look super amazing. You can post that on social media. Now it's amplifying your impact online. And that's where the ripples happen, where people, your community, can connect with your story and see why you do what you do. Because with inspirational speaking, we really focus on telling your personal story in order to inspire others.
Okay, beautiful synopsis. So essentially, there are support stories that you utilize throughout your talk that helps illustrate a concept that you're bringing in, an idea, a strategy. But what you're talking about with that signature story is that pivotal thing that happened that led you to your life path, right? Is that basically, okay, great. All right, Dan, you know, my show ends with our signature question. And that is, as we're collectively on this path to make a pact, to make the greatest impact with the power of our voice, what is one thing that you would encourage speakers to do to take their voice to the next level, be able to make a greater impact? And yes, a greater impact.
So the biggest thing I will say is learn your media awareness day calendars. Like the media awareness days are such a big part of your journey. And you realize a lot of gigs, a lot of events happen around those moments. Like Women's Day was on just a couple of weeks ago. And you probably saw so many women's events happening at that time. And it was the perfect time to like get a speaking gig. Understanding when the right time is for your story, and you have to be aware when you're relevant. For example, I believe diabetes month is November. So if you know that, and your story is around diabetes, you know November is going to be a big time for me. So that's when news or outlets are looking for people who are inspiring, who are the experts to share that topic. But also, you can reach out to organizations who are running events around that topic, who are looking for it. So now you have purpose. And if you just discover like 8 to 12 media awareness days throughout the year, now you have a content plan and you are actually pitching 2 months ahead. Because one of the biggest mistakes people make is they're reactive. Oh, I didn't know today was Professional Speakers Day. I had no idea. And so now they're posting last minute. If you are the people in the know, you are now the authority because you're prepared. You're on the news already talking about the topic. You have a speaking gig already lined up on that day. So you're not reactive anymore. You're the authority. And that's what we really want, is be the authority as a speaker, build your own momentum, create visibility for yourself. And so knowing your media awareness days are so key in this process.
Fabulous. And you actually came bearing a gift for the listeners of this show. You're actually going to give them a media awareness calendar, right? A link to a media awareness calendar. So we'll make sure that that link is in the description because that is very valuable. Now, you as a publicist, you say the runway is about 2 months. Me as an agent wanting to pitch for the keynoter or the main stage speaker, I say a minimum of 6 months. Actually, when the event ends, give them a week to breathe and then start knocking on their door to be the speaker to the next engagement. So, but don't give up either. Let's say they gave you a hard no. Sorry, we already have our speaker. Do exactly what Dan said, because speakers, it shifts last minute and it puts those organizers into a panic. Somebody got laryngitis. Somebody's family member passed away and they're going to have to be in a whole nother state, whatever happens. So that 2-month rule still really stands and is very strong. Hey, I know that you told me that your speakers are all set for your women's conference or whatever it might be. But I'm just checking in with you. How's everything going? I want you to know I'm still available, however you want to pitch it. But
that's great advice. Yes, we're definitely for event organizers.
Yeah, but take into account that runway. I like that how you said, don't be reactive. Don't like, that looks like a great event. It's happening next weekend. I'm going to see if they can use me. Well, Dan, you brought a wealth of information with you, and thank you for sharing the precious resource of your time with the SpeakPact audience.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed my time.
All right. And for our SpeakPact audience, you can give Dan and me some flowers by posting this forward. I know that you got some great ideas out of this episode, that you have had some transition in thought by visiting with us today. So go ahead and post it forward, comment, rate the show, share all the things, because that is what helps spread the word. And good energy begets good energy. So if you do that for us, we are ever so thankful. But more than that, you have made a greater impact really with the power of your voice, even if it's just a click of a mouse. So for now, ciao, ciao.
Thank you for listening to the SpeakPact podcast. To become a recommended speaker of Antoniette's WPC speaker agency, or you are a host or planner looking for a dynamic expert in optimized performance, Antoniette would like to personally meet with you. Secure a time with her at speakerbooker.com. Again, that is speakerbooker.com. It all begins with a vision, a voice, and a pact to impact. Join the SpeakPact movement by joining our new private Facebook group at the link in our show notes. Find us on nearly every social media platform at One Antoniette. That's number 1, ANTONIETTE, or simply hashtag SpeakPact.